Kumlan and a Black Gemara. Today's daf is daf Mem Tes Amid Aleph, and we're coming to the end of Perek HaShalech. And the theme of the last few blot is Mem Ches Amid Aleph, and the theme of the last few blot is all about Tikkun Olam. A little bit different Tikkun Olam than what we have today, Tikkun Olam.
They weren't recycling
or worse. Okay. So we had an argument between Rabbi Yechon and Shlokish whether we say kinyan peidas to kinyan goof, which is Rabbi Yechon, and therefore he says that even if you bought only the fruits, you can go ahead and bring it to the shalayim, maybe vikayir, and say the psukim that go along with it, and you can say Asher Nasat Tali. And according to the Shlokish, kinyan peidas is not to kinyan aguf, and therefore you can't, even though you grow Tet Yisrael, your shalayim, but you cannot say the psukim. Says the Gemara. And we had two arguments between them: if you bought the land if you bought the field just for the Paris, or if you bought a field in the times of Yovel, comes Yovel, it goes back to the original owners, which means you only really have like a 49-year lease on it. So comes the Gemara Toshma, about 10 lines from the top of the page. Toshma coming here, let's hear. It says, "Akoina ilan." If somebody buys a tree, big karkoy, and the land beneath the tree, so you have the paydas and the karka, then maybe the koy go to shleim, and you can say the land you gave me because the tree is sitting on the land that belongs to you. Nu see close to me that the tree itself is not good enough. You need the tree and the land itself. Says the Gemara, or forget about that. Here we're talking about that just the fact that Yovel, every property comes Yovel goes back to the original owner. So how can he say the psukim? It's only a 49-year lease. So we're talking about Bizman she'ena Yovel. The second base of Migdal, there was no Yovel, and therefore it doesn't go back to the original owner. So then you keep it. Toshma coming here, but if you purchase 2 trees in the field of your friend, we know that if you buy 3 trees, then the land between the trees come with it. If you only buy 2 trees, the land does not come with it. Because you can't say Asher Nasat Tali because there's no land there. Maybe Vein Koida you bring, but you cannot say the Psukim Asher Nasat Tali. But Hashloisha, which 3 trees, maybe the Koida. Again, comes the Yovel, goes back to the original owner. So all you really bought was Kinyan Paris. We're talking about a time when there was no Yovel, and therefore when you bought it for longevity. Says the Gemara, the Amar of Chizdet. But now that Chizdet came along and said a fascinating thing. It's not just halachic, this is the way it is, but also what you had an intention when you bought it. So b'yovel sheni, this is very interesting what he says here. He says here the very first yovel, people didn't think it was real. The idea that you buy a property and yet you have to give it back to the original owner was something that was so foreign to them, they didn't think it was real. So when they bought the property within the first yovel period, they thought it's stam gedet. It was theoretical. So when they bought it, they thought they're buying it la'olam v'od. So during the first yovel, if they bought the trees and the land, whatever it is, they go to Yerushalayim, maybe the Kodesh. But in the second yovel, they saw that the first yovel, what happened, the taka went back, it was serious. So then they knew when they're buying it, it's only a 49-year lease. So the whole machlekes is whether kinyan pegging of yovel sheni. Everyone else maybe vik kodesh, because when you bought it with the intention to keep it forever. They didn't really realize that this is going to be real, that you're going to give it back in yovel. So like kosher. We'll answer very simply. All those places that says that maybe the kodesh is yovel rishon, talking about the first yovel, and that's why you say something as well. Which means it's not just halachically if it's not yours, it's also your intent. If your intent was to have the land itself, you can say Asher Nasat Tali, which is a fascinating thing. So what if they intended to keep it forever? But the fact is it's not really yours. They have to understand what it means. Because they thought they're going to keep it forever, therefore they can say Asher Nasat Tali. It needs a little explanation.
Is it that they have shoes to say Asher Nasat Tali, or is it just the way it worked? They came to the and they made the declaration?
No, these are these psukim you have to say. It's called kodesh. Yeah, kodesh. So he's saying it the first year they had a right to say that because they thought at that time that they're going to have it forever.
That's what I was asking. Is it a right that they were allowed to, or is it just as I feel that's what people did, whether it was right or not?
Okay, I don't know, but fair enough. But it seems that intent plays a important role. Rashi says both intents. The Meicher knew that he's getting it back, and the Lekech knew he's giving it back to the Meicher. Also, why do you need both intents? It's the Lekech that we're worried about, that we're concerned with. What was his intent? If Rashi says the Meicher knew he's getting it back, so it needs a lot of explanation. But anyway, so he went further. So now they're about Says Gemara, let us say that this machlekes of Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish is actually a machlekes in Tanoim. Now, we have two kinds of fields. There's a thing called a zdei mikne and a zdei achuzah. Zdei mikne is a field that you purchased. And the din is, if you purchase the field, you donate it to the Beis Hamikdash. And I know you can get it back through Yabel. If the gizbar, the gabbai, sold the field, nevertheless, it comes back to you in Yovel. But if it's a ze'achuzah, if it's a field that you inherited and you donated to the Beis Hamikdash, you consecrated it, and the gabbai sold it and you did not redeem it, it goes back to the kohanim. You forfeit it. Yerusha is a privilege, is a right, and if you give up that right, you've given it up completely. So we have an interesting concept here. What happens if one of the children bought the field from his father, so he came into his possession as his name mikneh, and then his father passed away, so now he yashed in his de'achuzah. What happens? Does it get elevated from his mikneh to his de'achuzah, or nothing really happens there? Now, if you learn that kinya paydas lav kinyan goofs, they mikneh, all you have is the paydas. Then when you become the Yerusha, now you have the goof itself. So of course it's been elevated. But if you learn that as they mikneh is already kinya paid like Rabbi Yochanan, kinya paid like kinya goof are all one and the same. So what happens when it becomes Yerusha? Nothing. It was yours before, nothing changes, so it still remains as they mikneh. Unless you have a pasuk that says otherwise. So here's the machlekes. Machlekes anoyim and how do you know the Tana number one? Well, the care so the if you buy a field from your father, so now by you it says they mikneh. Big disha, you made it holy. But then his father died, so now it became as their chuzah. How do you know we treat like as their chuzah? It comes to teach you. It says in the pasuk that if the field that you purchased, ashaloim is their chuzah. That would mean that it is not their chuzah. What mean ashaloim is their chuzah? That it doesn't even have a potential at the time when you bought it. This from your father, this had a potential to turn into their chuzah. So that has the din of a zdei achuzah, which means if you consecrate it and you don't buy it back, and the gizba sold it, you lose it forever. She'ein ruyuli zdei achuzah. Yatzazu, this field here, should ruyuli zdei achuzah. The moment that you bought it, it had a potential to turn into zdei achuzah. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. However, Rabbi says no. He says that if you bought it as a zdei mikneh and let it to zdei achuzah, and you made it hegdish before it became a zdei achuzah, then for you, as far as you're concerned, it's considered zdei mikneh. Well, so when do we say otherwise? And Meir says, if you bought it as they mikneh. So how did it come into your possession? They mikneh. But your father died before you consecrated it. And then you made it kodesh. Now this is the case when I treat it like zeh because you were makdish it after it became a zeh. But if you were makdish before it became a zeh, then your father died. Nothing changes. So I don't look at the word row. He takes the word row out. A field that currently is not as their chuzah. Here, you came into your possession as they make you bought it, but then your father died, it turned into their chuzah. When you consecrated, it was already a Yerusha. We treat it like as their chuzah. The Ilu, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, but according to Rabbi Shimon, mace if his father died. You made it if you made it hegdish after this person's father died. In other words, when you made it hegdish, it's already there chuzah. Rabbi Shimon, let's see you don't need a pasuk for that. It's obvious when you marked the shit, it was already there chuzah. My love, isn't it? This is the argument. What is the argument? Why does a maid need a pasuk that even though it became as der chuzah, I still need a pasuk to tell me that it has a status der chuzah? And according to Rabbi Yehuda and Shimon, you don't. The most as follows: the Rameya saw a kinyan paid a kinyan group to me. The man holds when he bought the field, he already owned it completely. Lock, stock, and barrel, everything about it. So when it turned into Yerusha, nothing happened. So as far as he's concerned, it's still as they miknah. Nothing changed. His ownership hasn't changed. So therefore, the original ownership is still there in place. So I need a pasuk to tell me that if he was makdash now, after his father passed away, it did turn into Yerusha, even though nothing really changed. It turned into Yerusha, and therefore it has all the laws of Yerusha, which is that if you don't redeem it back, and then the gizba sold it, you forfeit it. It goes to the kohanim.
But according to that, if now he's bought it. Right, so now it's entirely his.
No.
And along comes Shnas HaYovel, it has to go back to the
We'll see later.
Right?
Yes, it does.
But the Earth is his father who died, so automatically it'll come to him. So how can you say it's a stay?
You're right, but this is all before Yovel right now. He bought as they mikneh. As is they mikneh, he can buy it back from the thing. Then afterwards, you work out what he does with it. But the point is, he takes it back from Hegdish. Does it take it back from Hegdish or not? So Ubaha, b'misas over the layadi. Over here, nothing happened when it became Yerusha because nothing was added on. He already owned it completely. Hirchach meis aviv. The achak hegdish. If his father died and then he made hegdish, tzadikra. I made a whole. You need a pasuk just for that. So all I have a pasuk is limited to the fact that you bought a mikveh, then your father died, became a derech and then you makdish it. We treat it like a derech. That's a big chiddush. But Rabbi Yehuda Shimon holds kinyan peiros l'afki kinyan guf dummy. So when he bought it, all he had was the peiros. Then when his father died, it was elevated to Yerusha. Now the ownership changed. He owns it completely. So obviously it says derech. I don't need a pasuk to tell me that if he makdish it now, we treat it like derech. It is a derech. So what do you need a pasuk for? You need the pasuk to tell you that if he was makdish it before it became derech, and then while it was in the hegdish's ownership, it became a derech. It now is treated like derech. That's the big chiddush, because it was raw already when he bought it. It had a potential to become a derech. Now he asked it. His father died, and then he makdish it. Like the pasuk, it became his now completely. So of course it's a Yerusha. The chitza cross. So what do you need a pasuk for? The hegdesh of acham meis aviv. You need a pasuk that if he was makdish it, so at the time he was makdish it was they mixed. Then later his father died. We would have thought, hey, when you makdish it was they mixed. That's what it is. Commercial that no, it changes status even though it's not in your ownership. It's not hegdish. It's now a Yerusha. And therefore, if you don't buy it back by Yovel, if you don't redeem it by Yovel, you forfeit it. If it's sold to somebody else, who needs it? Says Gemara, Machvis Chulay, Lamem Loch, how you know? Baal Loch Shav Yud Hashem Kinyan Peidik Kinyan Guf. And Machvis felt that the halacha like so therefore he's saying everyone holds Kinyan Peidik Kinyan Guf. No, if everyone holds Kinyan Peidik Kinyan Guf, how come Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon say that you don't need a pasuk to tell me that if after it became a Yerusha and you makdish it, it has a thing of Yerusha, nothing changed. Came into they make you already owned it. The Hoch Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon they have two psukim. The Darish. The first pasuk they dash in like Rab Meir, yes, but then they say within that pasuk there's an extra word. Not you just saying I found an extra word there, and therefore I'm saying even when the stage of row, also it turns into a derechus. Lita Rachman should have just said imas de miknase asher loy achuzase. My mizdei achuzase. Why is that that word today? We're talking about the field. It means sadish ain't a row is derechus. When you bought it, it never had a potential to turn into Yerusha. Yatzuzusha really is derechus. So we have an argument of Yechon and Shlakish. This is a few cases that most possible hold like Shlakish, but interesting. Rabbi Yosef says a fascinating thing. Oh, Rabbi Yosef. If Rabbi Yechon had no choice but to learn that Kinyan paid us for Kinyan Guf. Why is that? If Rabbi Yechon would not have said Kinyan paid us for Kinyan Guf, a famous saying, Loi Matza Yoda V'Ragla Bo Yodena Raglein Raglein said the base Hamedish. We would not be able to find our hand to feed the base Hamedish. We'd be stuck. What do you mean? Rabbi Yechon holds Ein Breda, and like you said before, if you hold Ein Breda when you buy something, comes Yovel, you have to give it back to the original. When the Achin Shecholtu, two brothers are divided Yerusha. If you hold Ein Breda, then how do you know you ended up with your share of the estate? Maybe you ended up with your brother's share of the estate. So if you like buy it, purchases, okay, it's like an agreement. You have, and I have mine. Maybe I have yours, you have mine, but we agree to stay this way. Come Yovel, you have to go back again, even though actually it's just a formality, but you have to go back again because you're lekuchas. According to Rabbi Yechanan, if you're lekuchas, if you would hold kinyan paid as a lavka kinyan aguf, then you never bring bikurim. So the whole mitzvah bikurim paid is for who? Who will ever have the mitzvah bikurim? And only for generation. Or if you were a ben yachid, so therefore you have no one to share with, or at least even though he had sisters, but you're the only son, and then for generations to come. The Amr Rabbi Asi, Amr Rabbi Yechon, Hach is a chokol kuchazain. Umarachzin Rabbi Yev comes you got to return it. If you hold me, if you tell me it's not called kinaguf, lo mishkachas the maisi bikurim elachad bachad adishu benun. The only people who bring bikurim are a ben yachid going back to Yishuv benun, which is pretty preposterous. But now that Rabbi Yechon says that kinyan paid is kinyan aguf, so even though it's true that comes the Yovel, we have to rejig it, doesn't matter. Because during that time, I have kinyan paid and paid like kinyan aguf. Amar Rabba says Rabba, Kra umaslitim sayel shlakish. He says the pasuk and the brayso supports shlakish. It's something halakha shlakish. Kra, it's in the pasuk. If you want to buy back your field, you have to calculate according to because he paid for it on years. The misper shnei tvuas yimachalach. What the years of the tvua. So we talk about the tvua. So we see clearly from here. That's not the karka that was sold. It was the tvua that was sold. Kinyan paid us Lav kikin goof, just like in Reish Lakish, number one. And in Masnita Braish, the time you learn, we know the rule is that a B'chai gets a double portion only in that the father actually owned the muhzik. But somebody owed money to the father, it's a row, then the B'chai does not get double portion if the money was paid back after the father passed away. And yet it says here, but if a field comes back to the father during Gable, the son gets what do you call it? Gets his double portion. Why? Because it comes to tell you that what? That the karka, the chiddush here is the karka itself does not never bought at the time his father died. The field wasn't by the father. But if you learn like Reish Lakish, that Kinya paid his lavki Kinya goof, so who owned the property itself all those years? The father. Even though he sold the property to somebody else, what did he sell? The payros. But the karka itself belonged to the father. So when the person returns it to the father, the b'chai is entitled to a portion, because this is not a case of potential, this is a case of muhzik. It was at the father all the time. Reish Lakish. Amar Abai said based on that, like Tinu we learn out. That a baal benichse isha, a husband is like in the chassim of his wife, that she brings in a lichsim aloy, that we give him the dividends because he puts in all that effort. He's treated like a lekeh, like a purchaser. So Naktinan, we learn from here that a baal benichse isha, if a husband and a wife only has the payros, therefore tzarich hasha, if he ever has a din Torah or someone about the property, he needs a permission, a right from the wife to represent him, because she actually owns the property, not him. He only has the payros. When do we talk about if the Torah is about the fruits itself? Sorry, not about the fruits, about the property itself. So then you need permission from your wife, because the halach is like a shlokish kinyan paydas, lavki kinyan a goof. Who owns the goof? The husband, the wife. Avol is a payda. The din Torah is all about paydas. Then migud the mishtoyin payda. When it comes to paydas, the husband has a right to defend it, because he's the one who owns the paydas. So therefore, mishtoyin a goof. You can already argue about the goof. Taisus here asked the famous question. All they're trying to deal with it. The Gemara answered Rabbi Yechon. We have a problem in our halachas, because on the one hand we paskin Reish Lakish the kinyan paid us lav ki kinyan goof. On the other hand we paskin that achish achoku lekuchasein. We do paskin achish achoku lekuchasein, but we paskin like Reish Lakish that kinyan paid lav kinyan goof, which means that so who brings bikurim? So Taisus gives two answers. One answer is that we say that we paskin like Reish Lakish. It's in a very limited case. Only in one particular case we're going to go right now that we paskin kinyan paid us, not in algemein, not in general, which completely changes the whole Gemara around. Or he wants to say that even though we paskin ein breira ma'atayda, but not when it comes to achish achoku. When it comes to achish achoku, then we say that it's taka yoshin, and yoshin is different. When do we say that only if he bought it? But if it came into your possession through a matana, through a yerusha, it doesn't have to go back in yovel. And therefore, the halacha like Reish Lakish always kinyan paid his lavka kinyan goof, and the halacha is ein breira. But when it comes to brothers who are dividing a property, there, whatever you ended up with, that is yours. We don't go back yet. Hadin halacha shalech. Continuing with the concept of tikkun olam, and why the Gemara talks so much about tikkun olam is to drive out of our head in Shagasa that we have today about tikkun olam. What's going on out there? Because it's a disaster. You know, the world of ecology and genders, all that tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is when it comes to help people out, the Torah and mitzvahs, and also in humanity, people themselves. Handi Zakin. Now we know that a person has generally three kinds of fields. Idis, which are the superior fields, the Bain is the average, and Tziburis, which are the lowest or the worst category of fields. And you have different kinds of debts that you have. You might have, you cause damage, you have to pay, or you have lenders that you have to pay, or you have your wife, your ksuva that you have to pay. Which field do you pay with? Now, there's a big machlek is Rashi and Taisus in Baba Kama design, and generally, what's the preferable method of payment? According to Taisus, there's no difference whether it's money or karka. According to Rashi, first you have to pay money. If you don't have money, then we go to the karka. And then we have a concept called Shavik Kesef, portable items. Shavik Kesef, Ki Kesef. Are they equal status? Or Ki Kesef? It's not exactly the same. First Kesef and not Kesef, then Shavik Kesef. Says the Mishnah. Han is Zakin, if you cause damage, they're entitled to collect from your idiots, your best fields. Baal Chayim gets from Bainis. Really, he should get from Zaburi, the worst. Why? Because Bainis, because Neil is jealous. We don't want Baal Chayim to stop lending money, because you don't have what to pay. You'll give him a poor quality field. What's he can do with a poor quality field? So therefore, to ensure that people are continuing to give them to a motive to continue lending, we say Bainis. So why not idiots? because we don't want Balchayv to go out there and lend money to people like the letters from the bank. We want to increase your credit, even though you never ask them, because they enjoy it or they know that they have security and everything else. So the Balchayv will go lending money to people he knows they can't really afford it. He wants the guy's house, and then he'll come and collect. The guy can't pay. He'll take his house away, or it's idiots. So therefore, we don't allow that. So this is all takonis. And what about Subazisha? Biziburius. Subazisha is a burius. We don't even have to elevate it because halach is a buri. We don't have to elevate it to bainis. Why not? Because there's a benefit anyway. She's getting married. She wants to be married. So therefore, she's not going to walk out of marriage because she's getting zibur. As long as she's comforted that she's getting something of value, the value is the same, and she can always sell it. So therefore, she's happy enough. According to those, Taisha says another shame. According to those who hold that idiots is what they're entitled to. We don't give them idiots because we don't want women to, let's say they it's not the best kind of life they have, so they're going to deliberately coax the husband or provoke him to give her a get so that she can collect idiots. So therefore, we give the goodies. Rameir says she's entitled to bainis. Rule number next rule: you do not collect from the chassid from a state that were unsold to somebody else, but there's a lien on them. The makom sheyesh nechassid b'nei chayrin. First, you go to the b'nei chayrin, even though the b'nei chayrin, in other words, the properties that are still remain, let's say, with the borrower, are poor quality, and the better field he sold off. You have no right to go to the fields that were sold off. First, you have to go to the b'nei chayrin. Again, tikkun olam. But field is the burius, the lowest class. Never tikkun. Ein efraim menichti same of the burius. When it comes to collect from your same, you always collect only from the burius, the worst possible fields. Why? And I be elevated it to a bainis. Why not by Yisaimin? Because most times when they lend money to somebody, they don't expect the person to die and they have to deal with orphans. So therefore, it's not going to close the door, shut the doors, and nobody's going to lend money. Oh, if the person dies, I'm going to end up as a burial because that's a real thing. So what were you saying?
No, I was just going to ask that. Just
Ein mitzion la'achilas peris. So what happens if somebody bought a field? It turned out to be a stolen field, so he goes back to the seller and the vendor, and he collects all his money. But if his field had fruits on it, or if he improved the quality of the field, the nixel still takes the field away. But when he goes back to the vendor, if the vendor doesn't have any assets, he can go to the field that the vendor sold. It's like a loan, and collect back from those fields. But he can only collect back the value of the field, the value of the payers, or the value of the improvement that he can only get directly from the nigel. It's not fair to get it from people who bought it because there's no way for them to prepare for it. There's no way for them to anticipate that, there's no value. It has no kitzvah, as we'll see anymore later. Talking about it further, Mr. Further, so too. So that's Achilles Pedis, the fruits that this that this person bought from the Gazla. And the Shabbat he improved the quality of land. That he goes directly to the vendor. Well, the Maz and Ishabah bonus, and it comes to feed the person's wife and daughters when he died, and you have to feed from the state. Is again, you do not go Menachasim Shabbat. You can only, because there's no fixed amount. You only collect from the assets directly for the person deceased, not from property that he unsold. But they take an oilam. And the last one was Hamaitim Mitzia. If somebody finds an object, and let's say the person who lost it said, "Oh, so nice of you give it back to me, but it's $100. You only gave back 70. I swear." And even though maybe technically you have to, lo yishava, you don't swim, they take an oilam. Who's going to return lost object? If I return object, instead of doing me a favor, I have to go swear. What do I need it for? Mali l'tzarazai. Says the Gemara. The tikkun oilam that I see. What do you mean tikkun oilam? Isn't mahatoida? The chesiv says meitav sadehu, meitav karma yishalom. If your animal goes in another field and consumes it in the field or ruins the field, you have to pay meitav sadehu, the best of your field. The meitav, it says pasek. What do you mean? This is a tikkun oilam. Meitav doesn't mean it isn't meitav idiot the best. Amar Abaye, like Tzicha El Rabbi Shmuel. We have an argument between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva, and that is an interesting argument. When we, and we'll see Gemara soon the why what basis is. When we pay, a nizik has to pay for the damages. Does he pay? Sorry, a mazik, when he pays for the damages, does he pay from his idios, his best field? Or does he pay equal to the best field that the nizik has? In other words, if the nizik's best field is equal to the zaburius of the mazik, equal to the lowest level, or to the bainis, what does the mazik pay from his superior field? That's Rabbi Akiva, mate of sadehu. Or Rabbi Shmuel says no, equal to the idios of the nizik. As we'll soon see how he knows that. Over by Latzicha, Rabbi Shmuel, according to Rabbi Shmuel, you would pay from your zaburius. Comes along Tikkun Olam and says, even so, I want you to pay from your idios. The Amam that I said in Mahatoida, you follow the Nizik's superior fields. Mashallah, they take an oilam, Shamina bid the mazik. Because of Tikkun Olam, we'll see later Tikkun Olam is we go to the mazik. We don't want people to go cause damages. My Rabbi Shmuel, what's this Rabbi Shmuel? Time to but I say, Meitav Sadehu, the best of his field, and Meitav carrying the best of vineyard, Yishalim. So Rabbi Shmuel says, Meitav Sadehu shall Nizik, equal to the best of the field of the Nizik. How does he know that? We'll see. Meitav carrying shall Nizik, even Rabbi Shmuel. Best vineyard. Rabbi Kiva says, no. Loiba HaKosov. Now, the language of Rabbi Kiva is a bit over here cryptic, and therefore the Gemara has a misunderstanding of Shmuel initially. Rabbi Kiva says, Loiba HaKosov, the pasuk is not coming a leak but zikin min idius to tell you collect from the idius. Sounds like according to Rabbi Shmuel that you don't. We're not sure exactly. So it's Rabbi Shmuel saying. It sounds like Rabbi Kiva saying no. It's not coming to take more money from the person, but only to tell you which quality field. But that is more value. The value of the zaburis is $100. The value of the $800. For each $100, you get a square. It is a very small field, and for zaburis, you get a much larger field. So Rabbi Kiva is saying it's not coming to tell you that you pay more than the damage. It's going to tell you the quality of the field, as if to say Rabbi Shmuel holds. You pay more than the value. What's going on here? The Kabbalah Hegish, especially by Hegish, we'll see tomorrow what that means. Or Rabbi Shmuel, so more things right now. Chal Shmeina, Rabbi Shmuel, they think like this. If the animal, let's say it was mazik, the best quality field by the Nizik, Mishal Shmeina, he pays that. But Achak Chusha, Mishal Shmeina, it sounds like also that regardless of which part of the field the animal destroyed, we go to the Nizik, we look at this field, which is the best quality field that he has, the best quality crop, and that's the amount that you pay, equal to that. You take the measure and equal to that, which means you'll end up paying a lot more than sometimes than the damage that it was incurred. As Gemara says, it doesn't make sense. When he ate shmeina, you don't pay any over and above the damage he made. And when he ate chush, you have to pay over and above the damage. Why? I'm going to leave it up in my skin. I'm talking about the Gemara still follows the pattern. If you're going sha'achla aruga bein arugas, the animal ate the entire patch, and we don't remember what was there. What quality fruits or vegetable grains were there? The layadin and ikachusha was the poor quality. Ochal, that's what he ate. Or yishmein ochal was good quality. So therefore, the halach is the mishalim mate. Since we don't know what you pay the best, it doesn't make sense. Amarav. Ilu yadin. If we would have known that chusha ochal, the animal only destroyed chusha, poor quality, mishalim chusha. So hashta the layadin. Now we don't know mishalim shmein has to pay more. Don't we have a rule on meitzim mechavedi el baraya? Don't we have a rule that the mazik has to be proven that he caused damage to the better quality fields? So Gemara changes the pshat now. You know how much we're talking about here? We're talking about it here. He doesn't pay any more money over and above. But the question is the quality of the field. Idi is the nizik, kizabudi is the mazik. The superior field by the nizik is equivalent of the poorer field by the mazik. Which one do you pay? Rabbi Shmuel said, the nizik shamin. You follow the nizik. Rabbi Kiva saw a bit of mazik shamin. Rabbi Kiva, you follow the mazik. Now let's understand. Rabbi Kiva is very simple. The pasuk says, "Meitav sadehu yishalem." What does that mean? Pay the best of your fields. Rabbi Kiva is pashut pshat and pasuk. How does Rabbi Shmuel know to change that? It says the Gemara my time, Rabbi Shmuel. So he says the same way. Agzeida shav. Nemra. It says in the pasuk, "So the lamata." It says here that if you cause damage in somebody else's field, and it would be if it's the achen, so you cause damage in somebody else's field. The Nemra saw the Lamaila, and it says so the above. It says there regarding paying Meitav Sadeyu Yishalom. So therefore, since when it comes to damage, it says you went into a sada. Whose sada did you go into cause damage? Into the nizik sada. And then when it comes to payment, it says Meitav Sadeyu. His field. Whose field are we talking about? The nizik. Sada. Masada Mulamaila the nizik. Afsada Mulamata the nizik. All talking about the nizik. You look at the nizik idiots, and that's what you pay. Rabbi Kiva holds, take Pashup Shal Pasik. Mate of Sadeh who Yishalem is the one who's paying his field. The Heir, the Koi, Mishalem, whoever's paying. Nu, Rabbi Shmuel, you have the Gzera Shava and you have the Pashup Shal Pasik. How does he use both? Ahani Gzera Shava, Ahani Kra. I need both. Ahani Gzera Shava, so tells me that if the Buddhists of the Mazik is equal to the idiots of the Nizik, that's what you pay. Look at the Amran. Right, the sada is of the nizik. So what is the shava made of? What is the pasuk made of sadeh? You come tell you. Ahani kra. The pasuk tell you what happens. The isle lemazik idi zabudi. What happens? The mazik has two fields: a superior field and a poor quality field. But zabudi is the day loy shavya ki idi the nizik. His poor quality field is a step lower than the idis of the nizik. So the question is as follows: do we then say to the mazik, well, the zabudi is less than the idis and nizik, go up a step and pay your idis? Or do you say, look, his idis of the mazik is far superior than the idis of the nizik. Why should you pay more? So then he goes down a step. We don't know. The mishalim and meitiv. And that's what the pasuk tells you, meitav sadeyu. You know when I tell you to pay your idis? when your idiot is better than the idiots of the nizik, but your zaburius or your bainius is less than the idiots of the nizik. In that case, mate of sadehu, you pay the best of your fields. And Rabbi Kiva says, oh, sorry, and that's how we understand Rabbi Shmuel. And we'll continue tomorrow about this Kal V'chomer Legish. Have a good day, everybody.